Welcome back, my free thinkers, to another video. Glad to see you back again. Raymond here. Today we're going to be talking about the Black community and BLM, also known as Black Lives Matter. There's about 5 issues I think are extremely problematic for the Black community. So you're going to want to stick around and see which one's number 1, as well as all of them, to be honest, to maybe learn something about the Black community. And possibly these are issues that could help bring the Black community back together again if addressed, and I just want to shed some light on those topics, so be sure to stick around to see which one's number 1.
It's something that I don't usually talk about because I'm afraid that I'm making people uncomfortable. It's something that affects me in almost every aspect of life.
There's something about having dark skin on a woman's body that shapes the way she moves through the world. There's something about having darker skin on a male body that shapes the way in which he moves through the world. It has real life stakes.
From what I've seen growing up, dark skin equates to being poor, dirty, ratchet.
They tend to be the bad guys in Tyler Perry movies.
Straight from the border.
That doesn't even make any sense. I'm not deemed as beautiful, therefore I am not beautiful. And those two are not really mutually exclusive.
Could it be that something as early as colonization or slavery is primarily responsible for our beauty standards today? We're talking about who works in the field and who works in the house. We're also talking about rape, the rape of slaves to produce people who are known as mulattoes or mixed race. These standards of beauty travel. Eurocentric standards of beauty travel.
In the Dominican society and our culture, they have a phrase that's like mejorando la raza, advancing the Dominican population and making sure we're going into how they say the better. If you're lighter, you're bettering the race and you're bettering the island versus if you're just being you.
I would get called the blackness. One joke that really stuck with me was like, oh, Edgar's so black that when he leaves a car, the check engine light turns on. That was a reference to my skin being as dark as oil. I felt ugly being of a darker skin tone. So I tried to gel my hair, or I started listening to skater punk music. So I tried culturally to lighten myself, if that makes sense.
I went on a trip to Korea with my mom. Some woman walked up to my mom and she asked, "Why is your daughter so dark?" In Korea, you have to be pale, and I almost felt like a foreigner and not so much Korean anymore.
When we turn off the lights, they say, "Oh, Salorm, where did you go?" Or, "Oh, you're really pretty for a dark-skinned girl." Are you saying that my race and just the fact that I am Black, is that not attractive in general?
I remembered one time that I wanted to be an angel in a parade. At that time, they were like kind of racist, you know, they didn't like Black people to be angels. And my mommy got kind of freaked out. She was going like, "Please don't, you cannot be an angel because they're gonna laugh at you." I said, "But mommy, I am an angel." And finally, I was an angel. And I was the only Black angel walking in the street. And my mommy was so proud about it, and I was proud too.
My mom started buying me a cream called Fair and Lovely. I was in 3rd grade when I started using bleaching creams. And the whole general idea was, if I'm lighter, I'll have a better life. I'll find somebody that's gonna love me. There would still be light and dark patches on my body and my face. It's painful, it would hurt, and I started breaking out in like bad rashes. And no one said anything. I had to stop it myself.
How do we fix this? We think critically about colorism. We think about where it began and where it begins and ends with us.
I think change starts with providing more diversity. You know, providing more examples of people that look like you.
If you look at telenovelas, they usually cast the dark-skinned person as the villain. And if you never met a Latino before, you're gonna somewhat think that.
So in Japanese media, I honestly don't think I've ever seen a darker skinned female. I feel it would be nice to see a change.
It needs to start within our own culture. where we can't have Will Smith filling in every slot for black people. Giving dark-skinned people roles that are not only supporting roles, but leading roles.
I mean, a legit badass 007 Latino James Bond, that'd be pretty dope. I'm just saying.
If I could give a message to someone like me,
Who's kind of looking at himself and feeling insecure.
Just know, baby, you beautiful.
Believe in yourself.
just be you.
You are perfect just the way you are. That's something that no one has ever told me.
And your skin color is a gift. It's never been a blemish or a problem.
When you grow up and you look in the mirror and you're proud of who you are, it will make sense and all the other voices will go away. And all that's gonna be left is you.
If you like content like this and you enjoy different topics like this, like, share, and subscribe. So what do you guys feel about colorism? Do you think colorism is an issue more so for men or for women? In my experience with my friends, it seems to be more so for women, but if it's for men, let me know. Let me know your comments down in the box. The next one I want to talk about is actually poverty. Poverty is a big issue.
How does the government seize more power for itself? Well, they have to shrink the families. They have to shrink the individuals. They have to shrink the concept of individualism, and they've done that quite successfully. If you ever look around and try to understand the chaos that we find ourselves submerged in today, if you ever want to make sense of it, just understand that the government is attacking family in the same way that they did it for Black Americans in the 1960s. It's very simple. For Black Americans, it was all about welfare. Hey, don't marry the father of your children. Don't do that. The government will give you more money if you don't marry the father of your children. This interruption. Trillions of dollars.
How do you guys feel about poverty and how Black communities have been struggling with poverty for decades? It's been a big issue and has continued to be an issue and will always be an issue for Black communities and families. How can they come out of it? Education is one of the keys, I believe, but if our education is down the tubes, which it is, and that's also another issue on my list, is education is some of the worst in the country for Black kids all over the country. It's ridiculous. In all your major cities, kids that are Black have underachieving, below average scores in math and science and reading. They're literally, with studies in this article I'm going to read you, functionally illiterate. So let me take a moment to read you a little bit of this article that states, and it tells you about the state of Black children in America and their reading and writing levels. America's Black youths cannot read or do math, and that impels us all, which in fact it does. This article is by The Hill by Armstrong Williams, and it's only about not even a year and a half old. And it states, in California, leading the pack, 90% of students cannot do math or read well. In New York, the numbers are 85% and 82%. In Illinois, hometown of Chicago, it is 86% and 85%. In Texas, with cities like Dallas and Houston, the numbers are 84% and 89%. Maryland, with cities like Baltimore, sits at 86% for math and 80% for reading. The state of South Carolina, is 90% and 87%. And with cities like Charleston, in Georgia, the numbers are 86% and 82%, with cities like Atlanta. And in Missouri, with cities like St. Louis, it is 89% and 88%. And in Washington, D.C., the numbers are 85% and 87%. That's just a sampling, but the problem isn't confined to these states. Nationwide, Black children overwhelmingly lack proficiency in math and reading. To use a professor's words, they are functionally illiterate, meaning they are unable to manage daily living and employment tasks. How can our society progress if a major segment of our country cannot even read? So as you can see, reading and writing, the education levels for Black students across the country is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely, astronomically out of this world to have that high percentage of Black kids that can't read and write.
No right to be angry. We're going to take our anger and our indignation and turn it into energy. George Floyd! George Floyd! Justice! Justice!
To march. To dance. To kneel. To be quiet. We're saying your name. We're saying their names.
Say her name! Say her name!
We're being loud.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
We're being brave. We're laughing. We're crying. We're getting engaged. We're getting married. We're changing the world.
We soldiers, man. Let's stop hurting each other and let's get it right, man. Today is the day we're gonna stand up for our community, man.
If we could do this, we could do more. We just gotta continue on pushing and don't give up.
Moving on to Black Lives Matter, which I believe has fueled the mentality of Black lives in the victim sense of a victim mentality, spreading white supremacy this, white supremacy that, racism this, racism that. I'm thankful and grateful and blessed that I'm not living in the Jim Crow era, because that was racism and white supremacy to the utmost, in my opinion. Right now, I don't believe that I'm living in that same era, and neither should you. White supremacy isn't everywhere, racism isn't everywhere, it's your perception. If you think just because you walk in a store and they're following you because I'm Black, or I walk in a store they're gonna think I'm gonna steal, that's you. It's gonna follow you everywhere you go. And that's not always the case. I was blessed to not grow up in that type of environment where my mom or my dad or even people that I went to school with, oh, you're not gonna get that far, you're not gonna be able to do this, you're not gonna be Black because of the color of your skin, because you're brown or you're Native American, you're not gonna be able to do that. You're not gonna be able to go that far, you're not gonna be able to climb these mountains, you're not gonna be able to get 2 degrees, you're not gonna be able to, anything. I never had that mentality. I was always told and supported that I could do anything no matter what, and that my skin would never hold me back. Martin Luther King said, let me be judged by my character. I have a dream, let me be judged by my character and not and the contents of my character. My integrity, my humanity, my kindness, my empathy. Let me be judged by those things. My love, my support, and not by the color of my skin. And I think Black Lives has contributed to that narrative and that ideology, that victim mentality, and it's rotted the brain of the Black community, unfortunately. I have seen The Greatest Lie Ever Told by Candace Owens, and I think it deserves to be looked at. I think Black people really need to look at it, because I'm doing a deep dive on that. Black Lives Matter organization did not help Black lives. none of the money that they donated to after getting almost $90 million, they did not give anything to Black lives. They did not help Black lives. And I think if you see this documentary, which I don't want to give too much away, but it lets you know, it gives the whole full spectrum, the whole story. You see the whole story from start to finish, as far as the police when they saw George Floyd and the different camera angles and all things are just, it's just an eye-opener. And you can still investigate and research into that documentary if you see that and you don't believe it. And I did some little digging on that too. And you'll see that in the new video I have when I talk about Black Lives Matter.
When you talk about critical race theory, which is pretty much going to be teaching kids how to hate each other, how to dislike each other, that's pretty much what it's going to, that's pretty much, I don't care what you say, it's pretty much what it's going to all come down to. You're going to deliberately teach kids, this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You're going to purposely tell a white kid, oh, the black people are all down and suppressed. How do I have 2 medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed? How did I get, first of all, time out, because I only got 5 minutes now, 5 minutes. 2 medical degrees, no mom, no dad in the house, worked my way through college, sat there and hustled my butt off to get through college. You gonna tell me somebody that looked like all y'all white folks kept me from doing that? Are you serious? What's sickening about this whole thing is what y'all doing right now is already something I do in my community right now to speak out against stuff, because black folks are getting told by other black folks, oh, you know you ain't gonna be able to do nothing out there in the world because them white folks ain't gonna let you get no, oh, you know you're not gonna be able to do it here because you know, the white man gonna keep you down. Well, how did I get where I am right now if some white man kept me down? How am I now directing over folks that look just like you guys in this room right now? How? What kept me down? What oppressed me? I work for myself from off the streets to where I am right now. You gonna sit here and tell me this lie of critical race theory? Of this the reason why black folks can't get ahead because of white folks? Are you kidding me? This is what we come to now. I can't believe we even talking about this right now. The last thing I'm gonna say right here is something that's crazy. Martin Luther King said he wanted his kids to grow up in a world where they are judged by the contents of their what? Their character, not their skin. If they letting this stuff go on right now, it is absolutely doing the complete reverse of what he's doing. So when February comes, don't talk about Martin Luther King. When February comes, don't talk about Black History Month. Y'all gonna sit there and just pretty much pee on his grave with this nonsense? That's exactly what's about to happen. When it all comes down to it, the person that's gonna be suffering from this, the one's gonna be hurt from this, is the kids. 10 years from now, if this stuff goes on, whose fault is it gonna be? Whose fault is it going to be? Who we going to look back on and blame for this? Because this is stuff we talking about right now. This stuff is going on right now. I do this stuff on a daily basis. I'm in the hood. I'm in the communities. I'm out there with folks in their face. I've been doing this stuff since I was 18 years old, talking to black folks. And you know what? None of them are buying this nonsense. None of them are. But if you want to implement this into the school system, I guarantee you to the day that I die, I'm going to be the very person right there debunking stuff, tearing stuff down, letting them know they can do exactly what I did and get exactly where I am by putting themselves to work and getting there. And ain't not one white person ever going to keep any of them from getting there.
The main thing is fathers in the home.
The biggest issue facing Black America is father absence. We have children that are growing up without their fathers in the home, and that is being incentivized by the government right now via the welfare system. When the government says we'll give you more money if you don't marry the father of your children, you are incentivizing bad behavior in our community. What happens when you remove a father from the home? This is why I do not mess with feminism at all. I'm not with it. This breakdown and mocking masculinity, making it seem like there's something wrong to be a man, all of this contributes to the breakdown of family.
Tupac Shakur, the late rapper, once said, "I know for a fact that had I had a father, I'd have some discipline, I'd have more confidence." He admitted he began running with gangs because he wanted the things a father gives to a child, especially to a boy: structure and protection. "Your mother cannot calm you down the way a man can," Shakur said. "You need a man to teach you how to be a man." Children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison. The Journal of Research on Adolescence confirms that even after controlling for varying levels of household income, kids in father-absent homes are more likely to end up in jail. And kids who never had a father in the house are the most likely to wind up behind bars. In 1960, 5% of America's children entered the world without a mother and father married to each other. By 1980, it was 18%. By 2000, it had risen to 33%, and 15 years later, the number reached 41%. Fathers matter. Until we have a government policy that makes that its first priority, nothing will change.
The father in the home, the mother in the home, the family, the matriarch, the patriarch is not there anymore, and it needs to be there. There's so many broken homes, there's so many fathers that aren't at the home, and I think that's the root of everything, to be honest, and that's why it's number one on my list, is that it's the root, it's the callus, it's the Achilles heel. It's the main thing that's causing this downward slope, kids being incarcerated, kids having kids out of wedlock, low education levels. All of this is attributed to a broken home, and it starts at a home being broken. When those two figures, the father and the mother, aren't there, and it seems to be the father is never there or not there that much in the black family. I'm blessed and lucky that my father was with me in my home even after my parents separated and divorced. My father was still around in my life. I could call him, I could talk to him. I would even go and live with him during the summer for 3 or 4 months, you know, so I'm blessed to have that, but I know a lot of people that didn't have that. But all my close friends, and I can think about 3 or 4 of them, they all had their fathers in their homes from elementary on up to high school. And I'm a young millennial, and they all had their families stuck together. Their families worked it out. I don't know if they had therapy or whatever they did, because I'm sure nothing's perfect. You have to work on everything. A relationship takes work. But these are the things. How do you feel about colorism? How do you feel about low-income housing, poverty-stricken black families, low education levels? How do you feel about BLM perpetuating the ideology of victim mentality? And then 5, black male fathers aren't in the homes. These are the top issues that I believe actually can help the families come together and the black community as a whole start to bridge the gap and come together. Like, share, and subscribe, and it really helps me out as I'm growing this new channel, and it gets me in the algorithm so people can see me, and I can get the word out there, and we can get people talking about these different topics. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out this one and this one. They're also videos of mine, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, hopefully these topics helped you out, you learned something. Take care, Godspeed, and be well.
Love yours. No such thing. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Love yours.